Well, welcome back. So glad you could make it. Today we're going to make my homemade Italian meatballs. Okay, my meatballs call for buttermilk. And if you don't have buttermilk, you can always use regular milk. Just remember to add a half a cup of milk and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And since it's healthy Italian cooking anyway, apple cider vinegar is healthy for your heart. So that's an added plus of my meatballs today. Also, we're gonna use some breadcrumbs. I use these usually Italian crumbs, bread style crumbs. They're seasoned, but since my daughter's coming from Colorado, she has gluten allergies, and so I'm going to use gluten-free panko breadcrumbs. Use sea salt, and if you have a garden, you can pick you some parsley. But we're going to use, I think it's 1/4 cup of parsley, a half a teaspoon of sea salt, and we're going to use a mixture, about 1/4 cup of Romano cheese grated and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese grated, 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper, 2 cloves of garlic. Get your garlic press. We're going to press it into the meat. And remember, I said in our very first show, you can do a lot with Italian sausage. I love to add either pork. Today we're adding Italian sausage to our meat mixture. And we're going to use some turkey and just regular meat, ground beef. Use lean. And 1 egg. And what I like to do, I like to get me about 1 cup of water. And let's see how big this is in diameter. This is about close to 2 inches in diameter, not quite 2 inches. You can get you some type of scoop, an ice cream scoop or whatever. And this is the size meatball I prefer. You can make them any size you want. And but this is the size I prefer on my meat sauce. This is an exciting day for me. My mother, I grew up watching my mother make meatballs. They seem hard, but they seem maybe overwhelming at times. But this is a really easy recipe that she gave me. If you made homemade spaghetti or lasagna the real Italian way, it would take you all week long. But nowadays we don't have all week to cook one meal. So this is really condensed version, an easy version. But homemade meatballs are just so much better than those old frozen ones you get. They're rubbery, they're dry, so it's worth having to get your ingredients together and make them. And like I said, you don't want to overmix them once you get them in the bowl, because they'll get tough, and then you don't want to cook them too long in the oven, because then they'll dry out. But like I said, my name's Mary Ann Overton. I welcome you to Easy Italian Cooking on our YouTube channel. And let's get busy. This is about 1/2 pound of Italian sausage, 1/2 pound of turkey, ground turkey, and about 1/2 pound of ground beef, lean. Okay, we're going to add our egg. Okay. Now we're going to add our parsley. Add us some gluten-free breadcrumbs. It's just a matter, this is really easy. Meatballs, they're just, this is probably a half a cup. You want to get about a fourth a cup to half a cup of breadcrumbs. But it's just a matter of dumping everything. That's half a teaspoon of salt. A fourth a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Now we're going to add the cheese. And remember that this is the best thing to use. This is a nice little cheese grater we got at Publix. And you just grate the cheese in here. This is Parmesan and Romano mixed. About a half a cup. And our buttermilk. And we'll add our crushed garlic. Yummy, yummy. And we love garlic. So we're not shy when it comes to garlic. And like I said, this is about 2 cloves of garlic. And that was a half a cup of buttermilk. Okay, so now we're going to mix it. And don't be shy of meat. Just get in there and mix it up. But you don't want to over mix it. It smells good with all that garlic and parsley. Okay, and now we're ready to make our balls in the pan. And what I like to do is I get me a cup of water and I dip my my scoop in it. And it just makes it easier for the meat to come off. And I get it full. Just pat it lightly. Don't smash it firm. That'll make it too tough. You don't want the meat real tight. You want it kind of loose. It smells so good. And like I said, you can make them any size. I just prefer the 2-inch in diameter meatball. I don't like the huge jumbos that they make nowadays at all. I'd rather put 2 or 3 meatballs on my plate with my noodles. And we're going to place them in the oven at 350. My oven's already preheated. We're going to place them in there. We're not going to cook them all the way. We're just going to lightly brown them on the outside. And like I said, this is a fun dish when you got a lot of company coming over. It's not really expensive to make. Very reasonably priced, all the ingredients. And you want to make, we got what, 1.5 pounds of meat. And we've got 3, 6, 9. We're going to have 12 meatballs. And we'll probably get 24 to 30 meatballs out of this. So, you know, some people want 2 meatballs, some people want 3. But we also put Italian sausage. Italians love meat, so the more meat you put in your sauce, you can put short ribs. I don't do that anymore, but I do put Italian sausage in my meatballs. But this dish is, you can cook it ahead of time and freeze it. It's just an awesome, easy dish to make. All right, so we're gonna put them in there for about maybe 5 minutes, and we'll come back and check them. Okay, I got my crock pot out. It's really nice crock pot. You always want to get a crock pot that has the insert because that's the easiest way to clean a crock pot. I'm gonna spray it. And I actually cooked my meatballs 10 minutes. So we're gonna take them out now. And we're gonna put this first batch in the crock pot. And see, they're just lightly cooked. They're not cooked all the way through. They're just lightly cooked. And they'll finish cooking in the crock pot. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and add these, put these in the oven for 10 minutes. So I'll have them all cooked. And we'll just add these to the crock pot. And this is 1.5 pounds of meat. And we wind it up with 3, 6, 9, 12. We wind it up with about 25 meatballs is all. So if you want more meatballs, you can add another 1/2 pound, but this is usually enough for our family. We're going to place our Italian sausage along with our meatballs, and then we'll pour our marinara sauce over it after we make it. Okay, our next stop is adding our Italian sausage. My mother brought me up using sweet Italian sausage. You can't always find sweet, so mild is fine. I don't use the hot, but I will use the mild. But this today is the sweet. And we're gonna lightly brown the Italian sausage on the outside and then put it in the crock pot. This is a trick my mama showed me, was to brown it on the outside. And I've done research, and all the research I've done, it shows all the cooks doing the same thing. So we're just waiting on my eye to get hot. Okay, when you're browning the Italian sausage, it'll kind of try to want to curl up because of the casing. So you have to get it innovative with your tools and make sure they stay turned on the right side so they don't just like totally burn on one side. And you want to make sure they get a little brown. They don't have to get totally brown everywhere, but see, this one's pretty much done, so we'll set it aside. But you just want to keep turning them. And they smell delicious though when they're cooking. And like I said, we're not trying to cook them all the way through. Okay, I've just about browned my Italian sausage. It smells delicious. That's one thing about making this homemade at home. You get to smell all the wonderful seasonings. So we're going to set this aside. And now we're going to get ready to saute our tomato paste with our basil and add some garlic. And then we'll add in our tomatoes. Okay, so now we're ready to make the base of our marinara sauce. Normally I get crushed tomatoes, but all they had was whole. And so I'm going to just put them in my blender to crush them. I'll just do one at a time. Then it calls for 2 onions. I love onions, but 2 onions is a little much for me. So I'm just using 1 sweet onion. I prefer sweet onions, but I mean, you can use a regular yellow onion if that's what you prefer. Now the first step to do is we're going to open up use our handy dandy pantry chef can opener. Get our tomato paste open. Okay, and we're going to use 3 tablespoons of this tomato paste, and we're going to use a whole onion and 1 1/4 teaspoons of oregano to start off with. Okay, I'm going to spray my pan just a little bit, because I'm going to be doing a lot of sauteing. I'm going to pour in just a little dab of olive oil. And we're going to put our onions. Going to turn the eye on high. I'm going to get 1/4 teaspoon of oregano and a teaspoon. And I'm going to go ahead and put in, I'm not a big fan of basil, but you can use fresh basil out of the garden. But I'm just going to use a teaspoon of basil. But you can use a little more if you love basil. I'm more of a parsley person. And we're going to just saute this for about 5 minutes once it gets hot. Okay, so we got the heat hot. We're browning our onions. It should take about 5 minutes. Smells delicious with that oregano in there and that basil or basil, whatever you want to call it. It smells delicious. Once it starts to brown, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And that's the tricky part. It's so thick, it's hard to stir up in here. But I don't think it's going to take quite 5 minutes. It's only been 1 minute. But like I said, it's nothing like a nice Italian homemade, easy comfort food. There is a lot of steps to making homemade spaghetti and meatballs, but they're easy. And you just got to pace yourself. You got to make sure you have your ingredients ahead of time. But it's not a hard dish to make. And like I said, it almost fill up this crock pot. You can put it on in the morning and forget about it when you come home at night. Your house smells wonderful. Spaghetti and meatballs is good summer, fall, winter, spring. It's a wonderful Italian, healthy comfort food. So it's getting a little brown. So I'm going to go ahead and add my 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I'm not real accurate with my, I just sling it in there. And you're just going to cook this till the tomato paste gets a nice dark color. Don't be afraid, you're not going to burn it. You can add a little olive oil if you want. Olive oil never hurts nothing. And then I'll remove it from the eye for a little bit so I can put my garlic. You don't want to burn garlic because then you got a bitter mess on your hands. And this is a little secret that a lot of people don't know. You know, cooking with tomatoes is very acidy type cooking. So a lot of people add a little sugar, which we'll probably still add a little sugar to our sauce to cut that acidity. But actually, cooking your tomato paste like this till it's kind of dark, really helps sweeten the sauce. And it's a hidden secret. Let's see, it didn't take 5 minutes for the onions to brown. It's only been 5 minutes and I'm already in the process of browning the tomato paste. I'll put it on another 5 minutes just to see how long it takes. Now, if your tomato paste starts to stick to the bottom, just take your spoon and see it's getting a little darker. You can see some little dark pieces in there. That's good. And then, like I said, I'm going to take it off the eye for a little bit so I can add my garlic, because you don't want to burn the garlic. You just want the garlic to kind of put a fragrance out, a nice sweet fragrance. You don't want it to burn, get a burnt fragrance. Okay, so that's pretty dark. We'll put that over here. Okay, and so now we're gonna press our garlic in here. The more garlic, the merrier. Definitely the fun part. My daughter tried to grow some garlic this summer while we were in quarantine. She did good. She grew some basil. She grew some parsley. She grew a garlic plant. But we didn't pick it in time and it dried out. Her tomato plants did really good, and we had almost given up on our bell pepper. But after the tomatoes had quit producing, we noticed the bell pepper started blooming. Now that was kind of odd to us. They were such late bloomers. And then she grew a sweet potato plant, rooted it and everything and grew it. That was fun watching that grow. And she grew we got some sweet potatoes out of it. She made a bourbon glazed sweet potato casserole. I liked it. So she had a lot of fun projects this summer. But now we're back in school. We're school bus drivers, so we're back working. Wearing a mask, but we're working. So that's about 4 cloves. And we're gonna, just like I said, let the fragrance come out. And then we're gonna add our tomato in. Stir it around and it'll be ready to pour over the meatballs. But isn't that beautiful? And I got my Biltmore pan out because this is a tedious time trying to brown this tomato paste. And my Biltmore nonstick, man, this is awesome. And I got a wooden spoon. So all that time, that took me about 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna pour my tomatoes in. And the reason I do this is if there's any brown stuff in the bottom, I want to make sure I get it picked up because that's where all the flavor is in the little brown pieces at the bottom. It might be left over from the Italian sausage or something. Now you can cook the Italian sausage in the oven if you prefer, but I've just always cooked it in a frying pan. Okay, so now I'm going to add beef broth. I'm going to add a whole can of beef broth. And that tomato paste, as it cooks all day in the crock pot, will thicken. And so you won't have a runny sauce because that tomato paste, it's going to thicken it as it cooks all day. Now I'm going to puree this last can. And I'll add what I can. My pan's kind of getting full. Then I'm going to add in my Italian sausage over my meatballs. And then I'm going to pour this over everything. But doesn't that look delicious? And it smells delicious too. It's a shame to cover the meatballs. They're so beautiful, but we want to get that sausage in there. Okay, so now we're going to go over here. I'm just a big parsley fan, so you know me, I'm just going to add parsley whenever I feel like it. Also, I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves just because I want to. Just because I like a lot of seasonings. Okay, and we're going to pour this over everything, and then we're going to turn it on and let it cook all day. You don't want to leave any of this good stuff behind. That would be a crime. And there you have it. Homemade spaghetti meatballs. So now we're going to cover our meat sauce and turn it on, let it cook all day. It'll make a beautiful aroma. It'll smell so delicious. And when you come home tonight, we'll have spaghetti and meatballs. Can't wait to try them. Got some pasta. Okay, I already salted the water. It's boiling now. So now we just gotta wait about 8 minutes. Well, my kitchen smells wonderful. My sauce has been cooking all day. I came home, so now we're ready to stir. And then as soon as my noodles are done, we'll eat. Look at the Italian sausage and the meatballs. They all look so delicious, and it smells delicioso. Can't wait to try it. It's beautiful. All right, the noodles are done. Yay! You can either put a little olive oil or a little sauce to keep the noodles from sticking. Gonna stir them around. And voila, they're done. So now we're gonna put some on a plate. Okay, and get one of my meatballs. And one of my Italian sausages. Oh, they're seasoned perfect. They're delicious. They're not tough like those frozen meatballs you get. The sauce is delicioso. And the Italian sausage is like for royalty. Well, I don't know about you, but I'll be eating the rest. So thank you for joining us here at Easy Italian Cooking. It's always healthy, and this is a wonderful comfort food any time of the year. Spring, summer, winter, fall, anytime. You can have a good plate of spaghetti and meatballs for the whole family to enjoy. Don't forget to like us on our YouTube channel, comment, and tell us what you like, and please make it and let us know how you enjoyed this homemade version of spaghetti and meatballs. Thank you.